All right, you guys got to hear this. 2 private lunar landers launched on the same SpaceX rocket.
Like a lunar rideshare, that's pretty wild.
It is wild when you think about it. Firefly Aerospace.
From Texas.
Right? They've got the Blue Ghost lander.
And then Ispace.
Ispace from Japan.
With their Resilience lander, it's like an international space party.
It is. So for this deep dive, we're going to go past the headlines.
Get a little deeper.
Yeah, and really, like understand these missions.
Their goals.
Right, the goals. And what it means for space exploration in the future.
Big picture stuff.
Big picture stuff. And we've got a few really cool details that you're not going to find in just, your average news report.
This is the good stuff.
The good stuff. What I thought was interesting is that it wasn't like some grand plan, the dual launch,
No cooperation, more just SpaceX being smart about it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they realized they could streamline their lunar delivery route and save everybody some money.
Oh, okay.
Efficiency is key.
Even in space.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's a smart move by SpaceX.
It is.
Makes you wonder if we'll see more lunar ride shares in the future. Maybe that'll become a thing.
Well, with the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But let's talk about the companies themselves.
Sure.
You mentioned Firefly's Blue Ghost is part of NASA's CLPS program.
Yes.
Could you remind us how that works?
Yes. So the CLPS program,
which is
Commercial Lunar Payload Services, that's what CLPS stands for.
Okay.
It's essentially NASA outsourcing.
Interesting.
Their lunar deliveries, they're partnering with private companies like Firefly to get their scientific experiments and equipment to the moon. It's a lot cheaper for them.
I see.
In this case, Firefly is carrying 10 NASA payloads for $145 million.
Okay.
Ispace, however, is taking a different approach.
How so?
Their Resilience lander is a purely commercial venture.
Oh, wow.
Which is really something when you consider how expensive these things are.
Yeah, it is amazing. So 2 very different approaches, but both are contributing to this whole commercial lunar landscape.
That seems to be blossoming right now.
Yeah, very much so.
Really interesting time for space exploration.
It is. So where are these lunar explorers headed?
Good question.
I understand Blue Ghosts is going to Mare Crisium.
Yes. Mare Crisium, picture this.
Okay, I'm picturing...
A giant, ancient sea of solidified lava.
Whoa.
That's what Mare Crisium is.
Wow.
Billions of years ago, a huge impact formed a basin, and then it just filled up with lava.
Wow.
It's a pretty spectacular destination. Scientists are very eager to learn more about its geological history.
Yeah, I mean, a sea of lava on the moon.
That's some imagery.
Yeah, that's some serious imagery. How long is this lunar road trip going to take?
Well, Blue Ghost is taking a relatively quick route, about 45 days.
Okay.
They'll spend some time orbiting the Earth and the Moon.
Sure, to make sure.
Yeah, make sure everything is working properly.
Yeah, systems check. Got to do it.
Of course.
Okay, then they land.
And they'll have about 14 days or 1 lunar day to conduct their surface operations.
2 weeks.
It's not a lot of time when you think about how far they've traveled.
It's not, but resilience, you said, is taking the scenic route.
That's right.
What's the advantage there?
Well, it comes down to energy efficiency.
Okay.
Resilience will take 4 or 5 months to reach the moon.
Whoa.
But they're using a trajectory that requires less fuel, so
it's kind of like choosing the highway.
Versus the back roads?
Yeah.
Sometimes the longer way is actually more efficient.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Plus, they have more time to collect data.
I see. So while they're on these lunar journeys, what kind of cool science experiments are they packing?
Let's see.
Let's start with Blue Ghost.
Okay.
I read something about a drill.
Yes. One of the most interesting payloads Blue Ghost is carrying is a drill that will measure the heat flow from the moon's interior.
Oh, wow.
It's like taking the moon's temperature, but
on a deeper level.
Yes, exactly. And by understanding how the heat flows from the core to the surface, scientists can get valuable insights into the moon's formation. And evolution over billions of years, it's like peering into the moon's geological past.
That's amazing. So this drill is helping us understand the moon's history.
In a way, yes.
Going back billions of years, that's a big job for a little drill.
It is.
What else is on board?
Well, there's something called an electrodynamic dust shield, which I always think sounds very sci-fi.
Dust shield?
Uh-huh.
Is moon dust really that big of a problem?
It really is. You wouldn't think it, but yeah.
Oh.
Lunar dust is incredibly fine and abrasive, and it just gets everywhere.
Oh, no.
It clogs up instruments, scratches lenses, and can even cause things to overheat.
Oh, wow.
So this dust shield uses electric fields.
Okay.
to repel the dust, kind of like an invisible force field protecting the equipment.
No, that's what I call innovation.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and I bet engineers are thinking of ways to use that down here on Earth.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
What else can you tell us about Blue Ghost's payloads? They've got an X-ray camera on board, right?
Right. This camera's going to be mapping the composition of the lunar surface using X-rays.
So it can see through the surface.
In a way, yeah.
What secrets will it reveal? What's it going to find?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But
I'm just so curious.
I know, but it could tell us a lot about the distribution of minerals, the presence of water ice, and maybe even clues about the moon's volcanic past.
Interesting.
This data could be really valuable for future missions.
Yeah, especially those focused on, like using the moon's resources.
Exactly.
Now, those are just the NASA payloads, right?
Uh-huh.
But Blue Ghost also has a couple of, really cool bonus objectives.
They do.
Yeah.
So Blue Ghost will actually be in a prime position to capture images of a total lunar eclipse.
Oh, wow.
But from the moon's perspective,
Well, can you imagine?
seeing the Earth eclipsing the sun from the lunar surface, it'll be just a wild visual.
Absolutely mind-blowing, those photos.
Amazing.
Okay, and there's one more thing, right? Something about a lunar mystery they're trying to solve.
Right. So during the Apollo 17 mission,
Right.
the astronauts observed this horizon glow just before sunrise and after sunset.
A glow.
Yeah, and scientists think it was caused by electrostatically charged lunar dust levitating above the surface.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so Blue Ghost is going to try to photograph this.
Oh, wow.
And that could help us understand the properties of lunar dust and how it behaves in the moon's environment.
Okay, so mystery, science, and incredible views.
It's going to be busy.
Blue Ghost is going to have a busy couple of weeks for sure. What about resilience? What are they doing?
Resilience is all about testing technologies for future lunar bases.
Okay.
One of their key experiments involves a water electrolyzer.
A water electrolyzer. What's that?
Yeah, so it's a device that uses electricity to split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen.
Okay.
And scientists believe there's water ice trapped in those permanently shadowed craters at the lunar poles.
Right.
If we can access that ice, a water electrolyzer could be used to create breathable oxygen for habitats
Oh, wow.
and hydrogen for rocket fuel.
That would be amazing.
It would be a game changer for long-term lunar habitation.
For sure. We can reduce our reliance on resources shipped from Earth.
Exactly.
So we're talking about creating resources right there on the moon.
That's the goal.
It's pretty incredible. What other technology are they testing?
Well, Resilience is also carrying Tenacious, a micro rover designed to collect lunar soil samples and capture imagery.
A micro rover.
Yeah.
Is it small?
It's tiny, but it demonstrates that you don't need a giant rover to do big science.
I love that. Small but mighty.
Exactly. It's like the lunar version of a Roomba.
I was just thinking that, but instead of cleaning,
It's collecting valuable scientific data.
right, what will Tenacious be gathering?
Tenacious will be analyzing the lunar soil in Mare Frigoris,
Okay.
looking at its composition, properties, that sort of thing.
Got it.
Also, it'll be taking high-res images of the surrounding terrain so we can understand the geology of the region a little better.
Oh, that's neat. This data will not only advance our understanding of the moon, but also help us identify resources for future settlements.
Exactly. 2 birds, 1 rover.
Speaking of lunar resources, I read that Ispace is selling some lunar soil samples to NASA.
Yeah, they are.
Can you explain that? What's going on there?
It's kind of a symbolic gesture, but it's a pretty big step in the evolving conversation about lunar resource ownership.
Okay.
So, Ispace plans to sell 2 tiny soil samples to NASA for $5,000 each.
$5,000. So it's not about the money.
No, it's not about the money at all.
What is it about then?
It's about setting a precedent for the commercial use of lunar resources.
Oh,
Raises some questions about property rights and legal frameworks surrounding activities on the moon, which is something we haven't really had to think about too much before.
right. That's a whole new world.
It really is.
That is fascinating. It sounds like we're maybe at the beginning of like a new era of space law.
Yeah, space commerce.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on as more private companies head to the moon. But of course, it's important to remember that, these aren't the first private attempts at lunar landings.
Of course not.
There have been some, mishaps in the past.
There have.
Right. So what do these past experiences tell us about the challenges of lunar exploration, and how do these new missions fit into the big picture?
Well, space exploration, especially lunar landings, they're inherently risky.
Right.
But these setbacks, they give us valuable lessons
I see.
that help us pave the way for future success.
Okay.
So by studying what went wrong, engineers can refine their designs, improve the technology, and increase the odds of success for future missions.
Oh, okay.
So if we zoom out a bit and look at the big picture, these missions represent a major leap forward for commercial lunar exploration.
Yeah.
And successes, they build investor confidence, which leads to more funding
Oh, okay.
and further innovation. It's like a positive feedback loop that just propels us further into space.
And it sounds like we're witnessing a turning point
Yeah.
in lunar exploration
I think so.
with private companies, playing a bigger and bigger role.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
really exciting to think about what the future holds.
I know. I can't wait to see what happens.
But I'm curious, are there other challenges, aside from like the technical ones, that we need to consider as we, venture further into this new era of lunar exploration?
That is a great question and one we should definitely discuss.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
While the technical hurdles they're significant for
Yeah.
sure. We also need to be thinking about the long-term implications of our actions on the moon. We're talking about responsible development,
Yeah.
resource management, and just making sure that our lunar activities are sustainable.
Right. So it's not just about getting there.
It's about what we do when we're there.
Yeah. What we do when we're there. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure.
What are some, key considerations for responsible lunar development? Well, for starters, we got to think about the environmental impact of our presence.
Okay.
The moon might seem barren,
Yeah.
but it's a delicate ecosystem. So we need to, minimize our footprint, avoid contaminating areas, and preserve the scientific value of these lunar landscapes.
Right.
It's all about striking a balance between exploration and preservation.
That makes sense. It's kind of like that old saying, take only pictures, leave only footprints.
Exactly.
But in this case, we might need to be even more careful than we are here on Earth.
Yeah, precisely. We also need to think about the potential for conflict over resources.
Right.
As we find, valuable resources on the moon, water ice, rare earth elements,
Right.
it's crucial to have clear guidelines,
Yeah.
international agreements in place for their extraction and use.
Yeah, we don't want to see like a lunar gold rush.
Exactly. We've seen what happens when competition for resources leads to conflict here on Earth.
Right. And it seems like we had this opportunity to do things differently on the moon.
I agree.
Learn from those past mistakes
For sure.
and create like a more cooperative and sustainable approach to managing those resources.
Absolutely. It's about fostering a sense of shared stewardship of the moon, recognizing that it belongs to all of humanity, not just a handful of nations or corporations.
Right.
So we need to involve a lot of different people
Fun.
in the decision-making process. Scientists, engineers, ethicists, policymakers, everyone.
So it's really about making sure that lunar development benefits everyone.
Exactly. Not just a select few.
It sounds like we need a whole new set of rules for this lunar frontier.
You do.
It's almost like we're creating a new society.
On moon.
Yeah, with its own laws, ethics, values.
I think that's a good way to look at it, and that's why it's so important to have these conversations now.
Yeah.
While commercial lunar activities are just getting going,
Right.
we need to be proactive, not reactive, in shaping the future of lunar governance.
So it's not just about the rockets and the robots.
Nope.
It's about how we as humans, interact with this celestial body and shape its future.
It's a huge responsibility,
It is.
but an amazing opportunity for sure.
It is. And that's where you, the listener, come in.
Absolutely.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. What do you think are the most important things to consider for responsible lunar development?
What kind of future do you see for the moon?
Will it be a scientific outpost, a mining hub, a tourist destination? Who knows?
Maybe even a stepping stone?
To further exploration.
Yeah, Mars, beyond.
The possibilities are endless, really.
Yeah. It's up to us to shape how that goes.
I think that's a great way to think about it.
It's so easy to get caught up in all the technical marvels.
The rockets, the landers.
Yeah, all that stuff.
It's impressive.
It is, but we also need to step back and think about the big picture.
Absolutely.
We're not just sending machines to the moon. We're extending humanity's reach into the cosmos.
And with that extension comes a pretty profound responsibility.
To act thoughtfully.
Ethically.
Yeah, and to ensure that what we do on the moon,
Benefits everyone.
not just us, but future generations too.
It's about leaving a legacy we can be proud of.
One that reflects, the best of humanity as explorers.
As stewards of our celestial neighborhood.
I like that, stewards of our celestial neighborhood. And speaking of legacies, it's interesting to think about how these private missions are building on the achievements of the Apollo era.
Oh, for sure.
It's like we're seeing this resurgence of interest in the moon,
Absolutely.
fueled by, better technology.
And a growing recognition of its potential.
Yeah, it's not just a big rock anymore.
Not at all.
The Apollo missions, they ignited our imaginations, showed us that going to the moon was possible.
And now these private companies are picking up the torch, pushing the boundaries even further.
It's really cool.
It is.
And it shows that space exploration, it's not just for governments anymore.
Right. It's becoming more accessible.
To private companies, which opens up so many possibilities. It's almost like we're entering a new space race.
In a way.
But this time, it's not just about national pride. It's about collaboration.
Innovation.
Yeah, and the pursuit of scientific knowledge.
Commercial opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. And this new era of lunar exploration.
It's all about international cooperation.
Yeah.
Commercial partnerships. You're seeing companies from different countries working together.
Wow.
Sharing resources, pooling their expertise to achieve common goals.
It's a really inspiring example of what we can accomplish when we, work together.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that space exploration can unite us.
Yeah.
Inspire us to dream big and strive for something greater than ourselves.
I love that. So let's bring it back down to Earth for a moment.
Or back to the moon, rather.
Yeah, back to the moon. We've talked a lot about the big picture, the future.
All that up.
But I want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the amazing science that's happening right now with these two missions.
Right. It's easy to get ahead of ourselves. But there's incredible science happening as we speak.
Absolutely. So let's, dive back into some of those details.
Oh.
Remember that heat flow drill?
Uh-huh.
What will that tell us about the moon's history?
So by measuring the heat flow from the moon's interior, scientists can learn about its thermal evolution.
Okay.
How the moon's core has cooled over billions of years.
Right.
And that gives us insight into its internal structure and composition.
So we're taking the moon's temperature.
To understand how it works.
I like that. And what about the X-ray camera?
Yeah.
You mentioned it could help us find water ice.
It could.
Why is that so important?
Water ice is a key resource for future lunar settlements.
Okay.
Drinking water, obviously, but also breathable oxygen and rocket fuel.
Oh, wow.
So if we can find large deposits of water ice, it would make it a lot easier and cheaper to set up a permanent base on the moon.
Makes sense using those local resources to make lunar habitation more sustainable. And the soil samples that Tenacious will be collecting.
Yeah.
What can we learn from lunar soil?
Well, lunar soil, or regolith as it's called, it's a gold mine of information.
Oh.
It tells us about the history of impacts on the moon, the makeup of the lunar crust, and even the presence of volatile compounds like water and helium-3.
Helium-3, that's interesting.
It is. It could be a valuable resource in the future.
Right. So by studying the soil, we're basically piecing together the story of the moon's evolution.
Over billions of years.
That's pretty incredible. So I've got heat flow measurements, X-ray scans, soil samples, even attempts to photograph that lunar glow.
It's a lot.
These missions are packed with scientific potential.
They are.
But beyond the science, what else can we learn from these private lunar ventures?
Well, they're demonstrating the power of innovation.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurial spirit.
In space exploration.
Exactly. These companies are developing cutting-edge technology, pushing the limits of what we thought was possible.
It's really inspiring.
It is. And they're inspiring a whole new generation of scientists and engineers and entrepreneurs, showing that space is no longer just a playground for governments.
It's a frontier for anyone with the, the vision, the determination.
The funding.
Yeah, the funding helps.
To explore it.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so exciting.
For sure.
We're not just talking about abstract ideas.
Or some distant future.
Yeah, we're talking about real missions happening right now.
Real companies, real people making history.
Yeah, it's happening as we speak, and it's just the beginning.
It really feels like we're on the cusp of something extraordinary. We're living in a time of just incredible advancements in space exploration. It's like a paradigm shift from government-led missions to this more collaborative...
Commercial
space industry.
And the moon is like right at the forefront of this transformation.
It is.
It's like the moon has become this testing ground for our ambitions to, go beyond Earth.
I like that, a testing ground.
Yeah, we're learning how to operate in a challenging environment.
For sure.
Figure out how to use resources
Develop technologies.
that could one day enable us to go even farther.
Yars.
Beyond.
Possibilities are out there.
And it's not just about, the practical aspects.
Right.
There's this whole philosophical dimension.
It's lunar exploration.
Yeah, it's about pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Challenging our assumptions.
Expanding our understanding of our place in the universe.
Exactly. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. We've been, looking at the moon for centuries.
Telling stories.
Writing poems.
Wondering.
Yeah, wondering about its mysteries. And now we're actually sending machines.
And people.
Yeah, to explore its surface and figure out those secrets.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. It's a testament to, human curiosity, ingenuity.
Our desire to explore the unknown.
For sure. And I think this deep dive has really captured, the essence of this new era of lunar exploration.
I think so, too.
It's a blend of science and technology.
Innovation, collaboration.
And just this feeling of wonder and excitement.
For what the future holds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this lunar adventure,
It's been a good one.
it has. I want to leave you with one final thought as we continue to explore the moon and beyond. It's important to remember that we're not just visitors.
Right.
We have a responsibility to be good stewards of these celestial bodies
To tread lightly.
and to preserve, their beauty, scientific value.
For future generations.
Yeah, well said. And let's not forget to look up.
Keep dreaming big.
Yeah. And never lose that childlike sense of wonder.
That drives us to explore.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of private lunar exploration.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
And that you'll stick with us as this exciting story continues to unfold.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're just at the start of something amazing.
Totally. With Blue Ghost going to Mare Crisium.
That ancient lava sea.
And Resilience going to Mare Frigoris, the lunar plain. It's like we've got these two explorers checking out different parts of this lunar frontier.
And what's so cool is they're each kind of adding to our understanding of the moon in different ways.
Yeah, Blue Ghost is focused on, those NASA payloads.
Right.
So they're looking at the moon's interior, its composition.
Science.
Yeah, the mysteries, the horizon glow, all that.
And Resilience is more about, practicality.
Testing out tech, stuff we could use for future lunar bases.
For sure. It's like they're, tackling different parts of this lunar puzzle.
But in the end, it all helps us understand the moon better.
Yeah, and I got to say, it's pretty amazing that it's private companies leading the way in lunar exploration.
It really is. Talk about innovation and entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
These companies are taking risks, pushing the boundaries of technology.
It's inspiring, for sure.
It shows that exploration, it's not just for governments anymore.
Right, there's a role for everyone in this grand adventure.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about this whole deep dive. We're not just talking about, theoretical stuff. We're talking about real missions, real companies happening right now.
As we speak, people making history.
It's the beginning of something incredible.
You can feel it, can't you?
I can. It really feels like, we're living in this time of just amazing advancements in space.
Like a paradigm shift.
Yeah, shift away from, government-led missions.
For this more collaborative...
Commercial.
Yeah, space industry, and the moon is, like, right in the middle of it all.
It's like the moon is our testing ground.
I like that, a testing ground.
Yeah, for our ambitions to go beyond Earth.
We're figuring out how to operate in a harsh environment, how to use resources, how to develop tech, all the stuff we'll need to go farther.
To Mars, maybe even beyond.
It's all connected.
And it's not just about, the practical side of things either.
Right, there's that philosophical aspect.
Lunar exploration makes you think, about our place in the universe.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, think about it. For centuries, we've been looking up at the moon.
Telling stories, writing poems, wondering about it.
And now we're actually sending stuff there to explore it, to unlock its secrets. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It is. It really shows, the power of human curiosity.
Our ingenuity, that drive to explore the unknown.
And this deep dive, I think it's captured that feeling of this new era of lunar exploration. It's a mix of science and technology.
Innovation and collaboration.
And just pure wonder and excitement.
And for what's to come.
So as we wrap up our lunar adventure, I want to leave you with this. As we continue to explore the moon and beyond,
Yeah.
we got to remember we're not just visitors.
We have a responsibility
To be good stewards of these celestial bodies.
to, tread lightly.
And to preserve their beauty and scientific value for generations to come.
Well said. And, don't forget to keep looking up
Keep dreaming big.
and never lose that sense of wonder.
Yeah, that wonder that makes us want to explore.
It's-
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into private lunar exploration.
It's been fun.
We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll keep following along as this new chapter in space exploration unfolds.